Hello, podcast lovers. This is your host with the most, JJ Gordon. First of all, O.J. Simpson died. And that's not a part of this episode whatsoever. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. JJ Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. JJ has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
Tucker, I'd like to tell you about the time that I hurt my testicles the most because I was thinking about it just the other day. I was driving in a neighborhood that's just a couple blocks north of my house.
This is where you were thinking of, or this is where you
This is where it
injured your
happened.
testicles?
Like, it brought me back.
It's
You know,
like,
sometimes
it's like Batman going past the alleyway where his parents got killed.
that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what we're talking about here. This is my what's his dad's name?
Thomas,
and Martha Wayne.
Martha.
So when I was a kid, we used to play, it wasn't Ding Dong Ditch. I can't remember what we called it, but essentially it was like hide and go seek, but you had to get back to a base. And if you got back to a base, you were safe.
I think it was just called Ditch. Ding Dong Ditch was when you're trying to prank your neighbors and stuff.
Right.
Ditch is just, it's like, it's kind of like tag almost.
Right. It's just a little more advanced. And so it's probably pretty late at night.
Did you ever play Bike Ditch?
Bike ditch? No.
It's just ditch, but you're on bikes.
I imagine that could be very dangerous because someone's trying to tag you,
and
right?
you tag with your wheels. You
What?
take their wheels with your wheels.
Oh my God.
Anyways, sorry.
That is,
You just brought me back.
I'm glad I didn't play that
Horseman
game.
Neighborhood 1993, man. Keep going.
So it's pretty dark when we're playing this thing, and one of the things that they added at this kid's house, his name was Jake, was his younger brother would do this thing that pissed me off so much where he called it interview with the runner. And so he'd be running alongside you, like yelling like, hey, are you trying to get back to the base? And like getting attention so that you can't even use the stealth of night. And he's alerting the person who's trying to get you. And so I remember being like, be like, Benny, come on, stop it. And I wasn't paying attention, and he stopped, and I'm going full bore, and I took the corner of a picnic table right into my young crotch. And I honestly thought that I was going to cough up a testicle. Like, I thought I had hit them so hard that my body had like gulped it up and was going to shove it out my mouth. It was horrific. And I'm going like, the guttural noises that you make when that thing happens. And it's my first time that I've actually taken a really hard hit to the beanbag. So what happens ultimately? Glad you asked. I got a horrible black and blue mark. I also had to ride my bike home that night. And so like every time I would like pump on the bike, it hurt so bad. And it's not something I'm going to go tell my parents about, right? I'd be like, hey, listen, because I'm probably like 6th, 7th grade at the time. No, I was probably 5th grade.
It's not like you did something bad, you know. You just be telling you would have just been telling them that, hey, I injured myself today.
Be like, well, I was running in the street without looking both ways in strangers' backyards. And that was the thing that
that was
about Ditch.
acceptable at that time.
Yeah, bloody murder. That's what we called it. Bloody murder.
Bloody murder.
That's what we called that game. Oh, it just came back to me.
Oh, wow.
Because you scream bloody murder when you get caught.
Oh, okay. So that's a variation of Ditch I didn't play.
Yeah. We used to play it on my block all the time. And the problem was we had some yards that had fences and some yards that didn't have fences. So, excuse me.
You think JJ, let's just do this. Let's just get a bunch of our friends from our generation
and play it today.
and we'll all log in to like Call of Duty but we'll just play ditch instead.
Oh my God.
So like no weapons, it's just tagging.
Could you imagine playing this as an adult?
I would get winded within. I'd be like, nah, this is too much effort.
Could you imagine looking in your backyard and there's an adult hiding behind a shed, like looking around for other adults? I would be so freaked out. It just would not be the thing that would want to like.
We'd have to build
grab my
like a
attention.
Minecraft world and then do ditch in that Minecraft world. Like a controlled environment.
I think we try and oftentimes bring things that we enjoyed as a child back to like our adulthood.
And some things are fun to just think of and go, oh, that's nice, but then you move on.
Right. I think one of those things that like paintball has stuck around for adults because they like being, messy. They like being able to shoot things at each other. It's the same thing you did like with a Nerf gun or a squirt gun back in the day, right? Like, bing, 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 bing.
So that kind of classic movie scene where the protagonist is like the last person to get picked
Yeah.
for like the basketball team or whatever. That was me last time I did paintball.
Really?
Yeah. It was at Ree's bachelor party
Okay.
for his first marriage.
Okay.
And he was like, he wanted to do paintball for his bachelor party. So that's what we did. And we drove out somewhere near like the Twin Cities. And I knew already that I would be the worst one there because I'd been playing like Halo with these guys and everyone knew how bad I was at this.
And they had like the hand signals where like the 2-finger like going forward be like, okay.
Some of them were intense, not as intense as the guys running the place. Those dudes were intense. But I remember like them picking teams and me being the last one to get picked. And then I fucking sucked. I was really bad.
No boy.
Yeah, I had no athleticism whatsoever. I had no sense of what you need to know, I guess, to be. I don't know how people are good at those things where you're literally just shooting at each other. But yeah, so that's what I think of when I think of paintball.
Interesting. So bachelor parties, just for a second. I think the premise of a bachelor party is you got to do everything you can't do once you get married, right? You got to enjoy it.
Well, a lot of those are things that you're technically not supposed to do at that moment, anyways, because you're in a relationship.
Right. Well, and I mean, we're thinking about like walking out and cheating, right? Or as my grandfather's girlfriend from Switzerland called it, having feet on both sides of the fence. So,
That
but
sounds
like
painful.
Right, I think Swiss fences are much lower, so you probably are straddling them
Like
a
those
lot
Kentucky
easier.
fences, those old Civil
Old
War
wood
ones.
They're the ones that are made out of stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're not keeping anyone out.
Yeah, I would hate to have to build a stone fence. No, thank you. Not my cup of tea. But like my bachelor party, we went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll go back to Las Vegas at some point. We ate tacos and we gambled, and no one wanted to see a show, which was like, this is my bachelor party. And we ate big steaks. And so I feel like there's something to be said, right? Tucker's very amused by it. But like, it's true. I do think that at one point I'm like sort of like, well, should we do the things I want to do?
I wish the listeners could have seen
My face.
your face when you said that, because there was this moment of realness coming through.
Yeah.
Guys, this is my bachelor party.
My bachelor party, right?
No one wants to go see a show.
Right? The best case scenario for my bachelor party was we were all going to make it home safe. Now, that being said, the last night we flew out at like 6 a.m. So you got to get to the airport super early. And around like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, hey guys, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to go back to the hotel and I'm going to get a couple hours of sleep before we go home. Right.
Smart.
Especially because I had to go to work that day, like that we got back.
Oof.
So I go home, I get to bed, I wake up the next morning and I go downstairs and everyone else starts coming downstairs. Now, first of all, I am in my mid 30s And there were four of us in one bedroom sharing 2 double beds. And then in the other room, there were 3 people sharing 2 double beds. Never again. I should have gone and gotten my own room immediately.
Yeah,
I'm like,
100%.
This is crap.
Yeah, I'm never sharing a room again unless it's with my significant other.
Right, bingo. And even then,
Period.
sometimes I'd consider it. So everyone starts kind of coming downstairs. And the people who stayed out, I was like, how was it? And they're like, well, we tried to find a place where we could throw axes. And it's Sunday, like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're like, but we ended up getting tattoos. And I was like, you got tattoos? And they're like, yeah. And then another one comes down. I was like, I heard you guys got tattoos. And they're like, yeah. And they were all pretty still inebriated, right? And so I said, well, what did you guys get? And the 3 of them look at each other, and nobody knew what it was. They couldn't remember what they had tattooed because they're still. So one of them has like the bandage, the tattoo bandage that you can see, and so they peel it back a little bit, and they're like, "Mine's a wishbone." And so like the other one like peels it back, they're like, "I got a wishbone too." And so I'm like, so the 3 of you got wishbone tattoos, and only in Las Vegas would they let you show up that incredibly drunk at like 3:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
And I'm guessing it's not everyone's favorite historical dog detective, Wishbone.
No, it's not. No. And it's certainly not because they all have an affinity for the brand of salad dressing either. I can tell you that much. So, but yeah, it was, so we covered a lot of ground there, from me hurting my junk all the way to wishbone tattoos. You do have some important news to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You came in, you're so excited with your little Star Trek coffee mug.
Yeah, that has nothing. I'm just drinking out of this.
Also,
thing. Hey,
Tucker told me today that he wears a black sweatsuit because today's Sunday.
I'm not. No, it's black sweatpants, black hoodie. They're not like part of a pair. They just are both black.
You're wearing a sweatsuit,
but together it becomes a sweatsuit.
Yeah. So you're wearing a black sweatsuit.
Yeah, because I'm not like,
because it's Sunday.
I'm not trying to impress you, JJ.
No, I'm not. I'm impressed by it.
I came here just from the way I've been this morning and the way I will be for most of the day. Because the rest of the week I have to wear jeans, and a belt. Ugh, that's the worst.
I gotta wear human clothes.
I would have died on the Oregon Trail like day 1.
Oh sure.
How old does a cup have to be for you to stop drinking out of it? By the way,
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
Like none of these had like, oh, but that was when they were still putting lead in them.
No, because most coffee mugs are porcelain or glass.
Okay.
And so they weren't, like, I guess you'd have to ask yourself about the paint on the outside of it, like what they used to paint the logo.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get a sense that the painted part, this is really just logo and stuff like that.
Is it raised slightly, or is it underneath
it's raised slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might have lead in it.
Fun. That piece right there, the logo.
The logo, because the paint might have lead in it,
Sure.
but I doubt the porcelain.
Not the porcelain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we still use toilets that have been around for a long time, right?
Right.
And really, in all honesty,
That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good. Yeah, but we're also not drinking out of them.
Yeah, but
we shouldn't be.
We're pretty. We're opening ourselves up pretty wide.
There is both a correlation and a way difference of the use case, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, we're not like, get this toilet out of here.
So yesterday was so gorgeous out.
Yeah.
That I decided to tackle a big garage project of mine.
Okay.
Which was actually a really important project for me to tackle because it was also the final piece of what I needed to finish up all of the tracking for my collecting that I tracked over all of last year.
Oh, yeah. That was a big project.
Because that was, and I was like, I just want to get it all done this year. But I had this one giant thing that was weighing everything, which was that I had bought that giant collection out in the Twin Cities, most of which I knew I was going to get rid of, but I was going to try to get rid of it at one fell swoop. I knew how much I had bought and brought into the collection, so I had added that number. But I hadn't figured out how many would be leaving to give me the total actual number of how many items came in and out of my possession. Because the way I track it is if I bought it or someone gave it to me, it's in my possession. It's in my collection. It's entered. And then when I leave it, it's exiting. And that way I can track in and out throughout the year. Also money spent on anything. So I finally organized and went through and counted all of the tapes I'm going to be getting rid of. And so that is a pile of boxes.
It's a lot of boxes
filled with VHS tapes.
I would say that, like, if I had to attribute that to something, I would say that is probably, what would I, like, if you went into a Burger King and you went into the ball pit and you put all the balls together in a giant pile, that's probably the same pile.
Got it. Well, so that, as of right now, contains 2,395 tapes.
Okay.
So we're going to call it just 2,400.
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah,
right now.
right, of course.
Because I'm going to go through some more boxes I have at home of things that I'm keeping. There might be a few ones that end up going to the pile. But with that, I can now say, hey, I know exactly what my spending and collecting habits of all of the things I collected in 2023. And I'd like to share the results.
It's funny because people are rushing to get their taxes done right now so that they can, so the government can build roads and things like that. But Tucker has come up with this, he's given himself his own personal tax deadline. And now you've got a really great. So I'm curious. So walk us through some of the numbers.
Okay, so I obviously the audience can't see it, but basically
I can see it. I will act as the audience.
This spreadsheet I've been using, and
it's color coded.
And I've been tracking things that I've collected that are movies, comic books, music, and games. Right,
okay.
So media, the things that I like to collect and hold on to for the.
You
year.
love collecting stuff.
I do, but I love a lot of things about it. I love hunting for it and finding it and all those other things. But by a huge margin, it's been VHS tapes for most of the year. So I've been tracking how many objects have gone in and out of the collection and how much money I've spent or made off of it to say at the end of the year, okay, this is that, and then I can divide one from the other and kind of average out a number.
And just a quick little sideline, people are hungry. And there are nonprofits that are struggling to make ends meet as they provide services to people. There's even things like animals that could use time and help.
If their accountants would like a copy of this document to use the methodology that I've created,
I'm just
they're
saying,
more than welcome to.
How many hours do you think you've put into this catalog system?
The actual creation of the document itself was probably 4 to 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, just entering stuff took all of 15 seconds per thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I would say.
This includes the nearly 4,000 tapes.
Are you talking about how much time went into?
I'm talking about how much time have you been on that document working on it?
A lot.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
I thought you were saying, like, how long did it take to put all that information together? Well, what are we counting?
Right.
A lot. But I did this slowly throughout the year.
Yep.
So, if you take something in little tiny increments.
Yep. Exactly.
You could eat an entire cathedral if you just broke down each piece in small enough pieces. And
that's about an elephant, not a cathedral.
But
you can build a cathedral.
Monty Python did that one, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is what you would do. Like, you could do it. You just need a lot of time.
Uh-huh.
And you need to grind up the pieces really, really small. So, starting with video games.
Okay.
Last year, there's basically no good tracking on video games because I don't have my Nintendo Switch stuff down because I wasn't considering those collecting. That was like a gift I got at the end of the year. But basically on Sega Genesis games, I bought 2 games and I spent $54 on them total.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what they were,
Mm-hmm.
but I did that. Music, I only got cassette tapes in 2023. At no point in 2023 did I buy vinyl CDs or anything else. I got 57 cassette tapes for $1. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Did pretty good on cassette tapes. Comic books. This is where it really gets nuts.
Okay. I'm listening.
You paying attention?
Yep. Uh-huh.
You here?
Yep.
You with me?
I am.
You know what we're talking about right now?
We're talking about comic books.
Comic books?
And not specifically Roger Cormick based comic books.
So, interestingly enough, Marvel Comics at the end of the year, I had 42 comics less in my collection than I did at the start of the year. And I had also spent $110. So, in between like the buying and selling stuff, I ended up like really losing my ass.
Yep. Sure.
At Marvel Comic books.
Okay.
Right.
I'm following.
We'll talk,
if you-
we'll
and
talk
if
about
you-
your deck after this.
And if you work at a bank that Tucker utilizes, you already know some of this because when they send out that like chart at the end of the year of like where money went to, you were shocked, and you use it now in presentations to be like, see, look at this 14-year-old spending, and they're like, no, that's a full-grown man.
Yeah. That's
So keep going.
All right. So now we're in the movie section. And this is where we're really going to,
Okay,
as Michael Keaton says, get nuts.
let's get nuts.
That's what Michael Keaton
You want to get
says.
nuts? Let's get nuts.
The actor Michael Keaton says that in the movie The Batmans. Laserdisc. I bought Laserdiscs last year. I bought 8 Laserdiscs for a total spend of $50.
Okay, that's
Not-
a pretty good.
That's
pretty
not
good.
bad, right? I think that's pretty good. There's a lot of local people selling Laserdiscs. Blu-ray discs. Bought 3, spent $5.
Nice.
DVDs. Got rid of 322 DVDs.
Whoa.
Spent $2.
So you got rid of them, but you also purchased some then? So
I also
like
purchased some, so
you're
it's
net negative. still.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, right?
Okay,
so if I
gotcha.
bought some, it kind of
I
messes
see.
with the
I see
math
the
a bit.
methodology. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Just following.
Yeah. VHS tapes.
Uh-huh. And now we're recording this in 2024. We're talking about spending in the year of our Lord 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And this is between thrift shops, eBay, all these places, which I've
Uh-huh.
tracked, but I have to go in and go, okay, well, how much did I spend on eBay this year?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the total number of tapes that came into my collection, and this is assuming that this pile that's in my garage, I sell as a unit and it's just going, right?
Okay.
Like I'm saying
Here's a tub of tapes.
once these are gone, then this number plugs in
Yes.
because I know how big the
I
pile
gotcha.
is. So I brought into my collection in that year 4,312 tapes. I got rid of 3,583 tapes.
Uh-huh.
I made $220, brought in $220. I spent $2,611,
Mm-hmm.
which total means in 2023, I brought in 729 tapes at a cost of $2,391, which averages out to about $3.25 per tape.
Okay. Some follow-up questions here real quick, okay? So, number one, you end up with a lot of dupes, I imagine, right? Like when you're buying
Mhm.
big collections, right?
Yeah.
So we can assume that some of these tapes that you brought in were immediately on their way out.
Oh,
because
yeah.
You did not need them.
Yeah, but this was really just tracking objects in, objects out.
Okay. Yep. Now, how many of these tapes do you think are haunted and carry the ghost of a previous owner?
Well, using the Fermi equation, I would say something to the effect of the inwards Fermi equation. which people
Oh,
don't-
of course.
know.
Duh.
I don't want people to start writing us letters or anything about. It's not the Fermi equation. It's the
Yeah,
inverse
because
Fermi
I got
equation.
letters last week when I was talking about my D&D character. Mikey Sunrum called me out immediately.
I think it's 1 in 16 is the average that the World Health Organization came
Okay.
out with last year.
Uh-huh.
So I guess we'd have to apply the math of we're talking tapes that went through entirely,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like tapes that left. How about that? Tapes that I put out into the population.
Sure.
Tapes that left my collection that I just let loose onto the world.
Uh-huh.
That's 3,583.
Okay.
So what would be 1/16 of 3,583?
Well, it would be 26. Right? That's how the math works out? It's 26?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it?
Don't use your calculator. Show your work.
I want to.
Show your work.
That's
You mi-
what this is. You
might
show
not-
your work.
You
You're
might
the one
not.
who
You
did-
might not always have a calculator available to you.
I don't care. I have one right now. That's what matters.
It's not.
Like,
It's
I
not.
like that logic. Like I'm bleeding and putting a bandage on, and you're like, you won't always have a bandage.
You
Like,
won't always have
but
a bandage.
I have one right now, and I
You should
need it.
learn how many leaves it's going to take to plug up a bullet hole. Like these are the important things that we need to deal with on a daily basis, Tucker.
3,583. How do I do?
Divided by 16.
Divided by 16. No,
What is it?
223.
That's what I said.
Yeah. 224.
I said 26 plus 198. Wow. Check the tape. Check the tape. It's right there.
You check the tape, Mr. Engineer. Are we recording still?
We are, yeah. I just checked. We are still recording.
By the way, I'm not tracking anymore.
Oh, you're
I
not?
stopped at the end of the year because a couple things, just having a more automated process would be really nice, because I was also doing a lot of rounding up from cents spent. So I wasn't tracking by, $12.28.
Yep.
I'd write $13 basically. So I would basically say I'm spending a bit more, just so I'm overestimating how much I spend instead of underestimating.
Would you like to know? I have a similar setup where I track how much money I make from people on the internet who are dumb. And would you like to know how much I made this year? I've launched a series of fake OnlyFans websites that deal with things that are not related to the adult industry. So, excuse me. For example, OnlyPans, which is a website dedicated to just showing pictures of pans. And so you can join a specific pan,
There's
group.
no T between the N and the S.
Yeah, it's not pants.
Got it.
Only pans. Only pans. And so if you look at, it's pretty far to go from F to P on a keyboard. But when you've got your chubby fingers and you're sitting in a hotel by yourself.
An F just looks like an open P.
It does, right? It does. It looks like an unfinished P, So OnlyPans brought in $78,000 last year.
Damn.
Yeah, people really got into the hexagon, nonstick stuff. And so that was pretty good. Only Crayons, which is a crayon buy and sell website that I launched, because people end up with just, half of crayons and things like that. Very popular. People were looking for colors that you don't normally see a lot. Things like peach was a big one. And that website made $180,000 last year. So already I'm over $250,000 in just on my fake OnlyFans ripoff pages. And unfortunately, I am net negative $60,000 because of I was taken by someone who told me that they were a prince and they needed to get out of a prison that they had been imprisoned in. And I hired a professional mercenary team. I hired the same team that they used in Jurassic Park 3. Turns out that those are actors.
Again, you got to stop hiring actors, JJ, for personal protection.
I keep forgetting that those things are fake and they're not real. That's my problem, is that I want so badly for them to be real. And it turns out one of them has been dead for almost 20 years. So I guess what I'm saying is if you would like to go to see a website that just features guys named Stan, Only Stans, is now up and running. And on Only Stans, you can meet a Stan. You can ask questions of a Stan. There's what we call ASA, Ask Stan Anything. Right now, we've got a pending legal battle against Reddit because they say that it's just a take on AMA. And I'm like, well, it literally, we're only 2/3 the same because we've got two A's, but they've got an M and I've got an S.
Are you the reason why I keep seeing all of these ads for Only Brands where it's just brand cereal?
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
I cannot believe the genius of your business structure.
Thank you. I'm literally, you can anything that rhymes with the word fan and then put the word only in front of it.
See, I
feel like the Steve Jobs of my generation.
I thought the podcast was what was fueling your lavish lifestyle, and I was like, I got to figure out how to get a piece of that. Because,
right?
Damn.
No. My friend, I am telling you this. I mean, literally, Apple figured it out by putting I in front of everything. iPod, iPhone, iMac. And I'm putting the word only. And if it rhymes with fans, I'm going to stick it on there. And then I'm going to buy that URL on GoDaddy. By the way, today's episode of JJ Meets World is brought to you by Go Mama, which is a website. If you think your husband is on a website on his own, he's going GoDaddy, you want to Go Mama because Mama will take care of you. Brought to you by Go Mama. So I guess what I'm getting at here is the word cassette doesn't rhyme with fans. And so I'm having a lot of trouble understanding why your business model makes sense.
Hold on a second. When was this a business model?
Well, this is our Shark Tank episode. I was very clear when we sat down that this is a Shark Tank, and that's why you'd be providing me all of this data.
Okay. Well, then there's not a lot of money in VHS tapes. In fact, right now it's a loss leader, according to these numbers in front of me here. But also 2023 was a weird year because, and that was when the collection really took off. That was when I really got a sense of what I was looking for, and things have slowed down a lot now because I've found a lot of that. In fact, this town is kind of picked dry, and I think that's mostly because of me.
You know how we're nostalgic for old video games?
Yeah.
Right? We also should be nostalgic for getting together and computing in large rooms together. I'm thinking of launching a website called Only Lands for only LAN parties. And you and your friends can get together. You still don't have to talk to each other, but you're doing the same thing in your home. Why not go to some place where you've got to actually put clothing on to be able to participate? Onlylands.com, a great way so that you can find out what LAN parties are happening in your neck of the woods.
Isn't it like us just with cell phones in our pockets? We're essentially like in a wireless LAN party when we're in a room together.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's essentially what air tags are,
we
right?
have devices that can communicate with each other through a network.
If you would like to be an investor into only... Oh, by the way, I don't think I'm going to invest in your VHS business. But you know what I will say is I would like to invest in your CD business. Because that seemed to be like a really good idea. It seemed to be pretty profitable.
Yeah, the one where I neither bought nor sold any CDs. It's basically just sitting there and hoping that someone gives you some money.
Yeah, I believe in hope. I think that has got a real ticket to it in the future.
CDs are coming back, man.
Right? People love CDs because they're so durable. They love CDs because the cover art is so easy to see. And they like it because there's chaos, right? So have you ever tried to like change a CD and pick a CD in a car? I'm surprised we didn't have more car accidents. I used to have a CD visor. You'd flip it down and then you pick the disc.
Yep.
And then you try and read what's on it and be like, oh, this has got my favorite Fraggle Rock song.
Yeah.
And you want to get in there.
The numbers.
By the way, my favorite Fraggle Rock song is Pucka 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 Squeedly Boink.
If I found a Fraggle Rock cassette tape in the wild, I would definitely buy it.
Oh, yeah.
The thing with my cassette tape numbers that's off is I think I actually bought one cassette tape that year. And I think it was a Monty Python Holy Grail cassette tape.
Oh, nice.
And I bought it for $1. And then the other 56 tapes just came from John Lundwell just giving me them. And I don't want any of them. So I'm going to get rid of those things too.
You're just going to give them all back?
Well, a lot of things are just ends up not worth tracking.
Another just idea that's off the top of my head, right? It's called Only Jans. So if you don't feel comfortable talking and asking your question to Stan, you could ask it to Jan. And once a year, these two websites will come together for a Berenstain Bears party, Jan and Stan. And it's going to be called the Big Bold Bear Party. And it's, you guessed it, only for children. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I guess OJ can die peacefully now that he knows that the killers are finally been brought to justice.